All right, hello everybody. Dr. Chris Greer here, Bright Futures Chiropractic. Here we are. I've been waiting all week for this. It is 6:30 on Thursday in March. Here we are. We are dealing with a coronavirus outbreak. Now, if you're watching this sometime way in the future, that's fine too, because we will absolutely be talking strategies that will help at any point in a person's life. But if you're living in March 2020 in the world right now, there's a lot to talk about regarding this coronavirus thing. Now, if you haven't noticed, almost all of the information that's coming from sources like the CDC or your local departments of public health is all great information, and it's all defense, right? It's wash your hands a bunch and sanitize your hands and don't touch your face and make sure you stay 6 feet away from people. And literally there are 18 different recommendations by the CDC, all of them about how to not come in contact with the virus. Now, they're doing this in an effort to flatten the curve they're talking about. Now, let's learn about what that really means. What flatten the curve means is, and by the way, I'm not critical of this approach by any means, but I think it's important for us to know what they're talking about. Flatten the curve means, yeah, lots of people are going to get this. We're just going to slow down how fast and a group of people gets it. So not everybody gets it at once. We just want to slow that down over time. Again, that's a worthwhile thing to do. I have no problem with that. However, that still leaves the implication of you are probably going to come in contact with this thing at some point in the next year or two. Maybe the next day or two, who knows? So this workshop is about the other side of the line, right? That's defense. And you don't show up at a game with only defense, right? You don't show up to a planned event with just defense. You have to have offense if your goal is to win. So the goal of the defensive maneuvers that are being put out there by the governmental agencies are specifically designed to not overwhelm our hospital systems. Now, is this a good thing? Yes, absolutely. We do not want to overwhelm our hospital systems. So, however, what's your goal for this? Is your personal goal for you and your family to just not overwhelm the hospital systems? Or is it to come out on the other side of this thing vibrantly, robustly healthy? Well, that's the goal in the Greer household, that's for sure. And that's the goal of a lot of my practice members that I've been talking with is, hey, what can we do to actually thrive through this thing? So I'm going to get right down to it today. We've got 5 strategies to talk about, and within those strategies, there is plenty to talk about. I don't know if I'm able to see your posts on Facebook. I'll see Facebook like totally changed everything for this. And if you're watching this later on Facebook, certainly leave a comment. If you're watching this on YouTube later, absolutely leave comments there too. We will get back to them as soon as we can. All right. Here we go. Now, we get to dig into the strategies. And first, let's talk about how to thrive in general, right? Because here we are, we've got the Thrive formula, all right? The Thrive formula is something I have workshops about. We talk about it regularly in the practice. It is this: if your goal is to thrive, then you need to make sure you have a healthy functioning nervous system, your nervous system being the master system in your body that controls and coordinates and regulates all of the functions of your body, including having a distinct influence on your immune system and being a communication thing for your immune system. So having that healthy functioning nervous system is key to you being a healthy person. Then we add the lifestyle strategies to it. You got to give your body everything it needs. You got to take away from it all the things that it doesn't need, all those toxic, deficient things that you're doing to it. And then you need to create that sort of an environment with a healthy functioning nervous system and a healthy lifestyle, and you do it over time. And that leads us to thriving. All right, that's the Thrive formula. And like this picture shows, we are all in this together, right? That's why I want to make it very clear. This is not, hey, everything everybody's been saying is wrong, so you need to do what Dr. Greer says. No, I'm adding to this conversation with what can you do to show up, step in the ring, put the gloves on, and when coronavirus does show up, you knock it out. That's what we're talking about tonight. All right, let's talk about a premise, because I think that the message that most of us get with the defense only message that's out there is we are defenseless against this thing. It's a new virus. We don't have any way to defend ourselves against it. And I say, whoa, 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 hold on. Actually, human beings are incredible. And we've been on this planet a long time dealing with a lot of viruses that were new at one point. We can handle this if we set ourselves up right. And that's the idea that being healthy is normal. And I will point out that having symptoms of illness can be an expression of health. Okay? We'll talk about that in a little bit. But being healthy is normal, right? Human beings in the normal state are healthy. Your body is smart. Now, this is where I'm going to talk briefly about how your immune system works. And I'm going to double back on that after I get through the premise because I am constantly blown away by how incredibly smart our immune systems are. And I don't think they're being given nearly enough credit in this particular pandemic. The nervous system is the master system. That's an important part of the premise. We've already talked about it in the Thrive formula. Your nervous system coordinates everything that goes on. Your body gathers information. It sends that information up through your spinal cord to your brain. Your brain processes whether everything's going well or whether it's not. It sends information back down and then out to whatever cell, tissue, or organ needs to change. And then we have the opportunity to adapt to the world that we're in. That's what the nervous system does. Your spine then protects that nervous system as its suit of armor. The spinal cord is right in the spinal column, and this is an amazing engineering feat because it's one of our most delicate structures, one of our most important structures in the body, and it's housed in our most mobile structure in the body. So your spine being healthy is an important part of having a healthy functioning nervous system. And please note that modern life is unnaturally stressful. Now, if coronavirus has any opportunistic time to show up, it's right now, frankly, because the world is stressed out. And when we're stressed out, our immune system is depressed. No doubt about it. That's simply how it is. Modern life is stressful in all dimensions. We won't go into a big talk on that because I'm going to be identifying that in our 5 strategies. But being as stressed out as we are has left us open to immune system issues like this. Let's regain that. Let's reclaim that opportunity and have hope for how our body is going to respond. Our bodies are going to respond in the situation where the virus does show up. Okay, doubling back there to the body is smart thing. One of the messages I have heard directly from public health officials is we have no immune defense against this. We don't have, no human being has antibodies against the coronavirus. The last statement is true. The first statement is completely false. We have not been exposed to this before, so therefore we don't have antibodies to it. That's because antibodies show up after you've been exposed to something. And your immune system has gone through a big process of saying, oh, here's this invader. Cells eat up that invader, they attack it, they make these proteins called antibodies, and those antibodies then go out and kill the virus. That's a downstream thing. That's a next time you encounter this kind of thing. Your first line of defense, which this is the part that we absolutely have intact, is called your innate immune system. The innate immune system is this whole set of cells that are specifically designed to identify invaders and go out and kick their butts. That's exactly what they're designed to do. And then they show those things to the other part of the immune system. That part of the immune system then makes the antibodies. But if your body is working well and if it's healthy, that innate immune system will take care of an invader before it becomes a major symptomatic blown up thing. and certainly before it becomes a more serious symptomatic situation. So, the innate immune system is what we all have accessible to us. This workshop is going to be all about how you can boost up your innate immune system so that, like I've been saying, when you do go into battle with this virus, or any other virus for that matter, you're ready to take it down. All right, let's keep going. Because here's the simplicity of it. We've been hearing this term immunocompromised quite a bit. Like, it still is holding true, by the way, that we as humans are dealing with this virus pretty darn well, unless we are immunocompromised. And the elderly tend to be more immunocompromised than others. So lots of times we're hearing it said if you're elderly or immunocompromised, or with other underlying health issues, which means immunocompromised. What I would say is if you're elderly and immunocompromised, because there are plenty of elderly folks who have gotten this who have done just fine because they're not immunocompromised. All right, so if we look at how this works, we've got a simple thing where you have the opportunity to have superior immunity or you're immunocompromised. And each of us is somewhere on this line, right? I can guarantee that if I ask a stadium of 10,000 people, when they allow us to do that again, where you want to be with your immunity, everyone would say, yeah, superior immunity, please. Like, let's go in that direction. However, a lot of us, because our world is unnaturally stressful, are living right here in the immunocompromised situation. So it's the stuff that we do in our lifestyle, physically, chemically, emotionally, that leads us either away from, sorry, my camera's the other way, better immunity, or leads us towards it. All right? Every choice that you make, day in, day out, moment to moment, leads you either towards healthier immunity or away from it. Now, that doesn't mean you need to be overwhelmed by all these different choices. We're going to talk about the 5 departments that you need to be concerned about to really boost things up now. And I would say that usually, in any other time, I would say, hey, start doing these things, start adding things one at a time, just start, building yourself up. You'll get there. Right now, I would say this is the time to do this stuff all right now. All right. And when we're thinking about our lifestyle choices, you need to ask the simple test. The simple test is simply whatever it is that you're about to do, how you're going to move, how you're going to eat, what you're going to drink, how you're going to react to the situation that you're in. Are you going to go to bed? Are you going to just stay up and watch TV? Whatever decision you are just about to make, ask yourself, will this make me healthier? And then ask yourself, well, I wonder how much I actually know that. Like, what percent of the time do I actually know that? And most of the time we'll be saying, yep, we got this. Like, we know what's going on here. So let's dig in. We've got 5 strategies for superior immunity. And I put that into a pentagon shape. So every morning as I'm doing my journaling, I actually journal on the 5 facets of health, the 5 fundamentals of health. And I have lots of other videos detailing these things too. You can check out the YouTube channel for that. But we're going to talk about these specifically and how they deal with the immune system function. So your health is the center of this diagram. And we've got 5 facets. They are sleep, movement, eating, breathing, and focusing, or our mindset. Let's dig in without further ado. Okay, I will say there is no strategy more important than getting sleep. I'm just going to cut things right to the chase today. No strategy more important than getting sleep. Sleep is a phenomenal thing that all organisms on Earth do. All organisms on Earth sleep, unless they're plants. They haven't figured that out yet. But all other organisms sleep. Even bacteria seem to have sleep periods. And the sleep is necessary for us to regenerate and heal. Now, in the book, Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, check that out if you're interested in all the geeky details about what sleep does. But in that, he reports on research where if we have one night where we are less than 5 hours of sleep, our T our natural killer cells, which is one of the most important immune cells that we have, they decrease by 40% one night, right? Now, if you extrapolate that out, and he has extrapolated that out to identify that most Americans, at least, are significantly sleep deprived, meaning that they're getting less than 7 hours of sleep a night, that most of us are immunocompromised only because of the way that we sleep. So here's how we need to sleep. I've got a quality recommendation and a quantity recommendation. The quantity recommendation is going to sound somewhat familiar. 8 hours. And what do I mean by 8 hours? I say that there's two different ways to look at sleep. There's how much you are asleep, and there's how much you are in bed. So there's sleep opportunity, which is how much you're in bed, and then there's the actual amount of sleep that you get that most people don't really know unless they're measuring. That's what this ring is here. This thing helps me measure my sleep among other biofactors. But it was an eye-opener to me to realize how much I actually was awake, even though I didn't know it at night. So the recommendation is to make sure that adults are getting at least 8 hours in bed a night so that you can get between 7 and 8 hours of sleep, or 7 to 9 hours, even more optimally. And if you're younger, if you're 18 and under, that goes up an hour or two, 9 to 10 hours in bed. Particularly need more on the younger end of the pediatric spectrum and the teenage end of it need that 9 to 10 hours, closer to 10 for those other two groups. So that's the quantity side. Now, the quality side is we need to structure our lives so that we can get into a state of sleep that is restorative. So there's two strategies that I'll talk about here with this. The first is shutdown complete. And the shutdown complete strategy is designed to stop all of that pinging around of what we're thinking about, is to stop that from happening. And most people are going like, oh yeah, I understand what you're talking about. Like I sit down or I lay down in bed and there's still all this stuff about work or the family or the relationships or, even what I just watched on the TV or the news, whatever it might be, all of this stuff pinging around. We need to reclaim control of what's going on in our minds, and shutdown complete is how we do that. So, what is it? At a certain point in the evening, I like to do it before I leave home, and then I like to remind my wife when I get home, like, this is not the time to talk to me about work anymore. I have shut down from that. I set my stuff aside. I make sure that I know what I need to do tomorrow. I tell my brain, this is for me to work on tomorrow. And then I say, sometimes out loud, shutdown complete. If I need to write down every item that needs to be done, I do that. In fact, that's one of my specific recommendations that lots of people have said, yeah, that's great. Uh, that really worked for me. It worked for my kids. It's something that many people have benefit from. Write down every item. Like if there are 4 things that are really bouncing around, write them down. If there are 15 things, write those down too, and then identify when you are going to get back to those projects or those items. That gives your brain the kind of knowledge. It takes a deep breath and goes like, oh, okay, he's going to get back to that. Like, okay, Chris is going to get to that on Friday or on Saturday or whatever. That's good. And as long as your brain knows you're going to get back to it, it's much more likely to stop pinging the idea around. That's shutdown complete. Choose a time. I like to encourage people to do it before dinner with the family or before you have your evening meal, however that works out. That's shutdown complete. The second one is digital sunset. And now, don't turn off your devices just yet, because that's what I ultimately am going to ask you to do, is to turn off your devices. That's why I'm really hustling to get this thing done by 7:15 or so tonight to keep it to a 45-minute video. I encourage people that an hour and a half, hour at a minimum, 60 to 90 minutes before going to bed, to shut down all digital devices. The phone, the tablet, the TV, the computer, whatever it might be that pings at you and dings at you, and most importantly, shines blue light right into your eyes, shut those things down. The research that was done on that, when they took 2 groups, they had one read a book on a tablet, and then they had one read a book that was actually a book. Then they measured their melatonin spikes, which melatonin spikes as a signal to your body that, hey, it's time to go to bed now. It's time to start getting ready for sleep. That melatonin spike in the people who read on the tablet was delayed by 3 hours. This is not good. This is one of the primary symptoms when people are waking up in the middle of the night and it's like, oh gosh, I'm awake now. It's 1 or 2 o'clock and I'm up for a little while. Oftentimes that's a digital issue, the blue light issue. So shutdown complete, digital sunset. That's how you can get the quality of sleep that you're preparing for with giving yourself enough sleep opportunity. So a couple more things on sleep. You can also watch I have an hour workshop on sleep that was posted on our YouTube channel in September of 2019. Check that out. But make sure that you're going to bed at the same time. You need to set an alarm for bedtime. We all think about our alarm to wake us up in the morning. Set the alarm for bedtime and make sure that you're hitting it so that your night before can prepare you for a wonderful day tomorrow. All right, that's the sleep side of it. The second facet, the second part of this is our movement. And here's where we got to think about our bodies again, because your spine is central to your body's ability to move and be healthy. So your spine is the center of all the movement that the body does. And if it's moving well, then your body has the opportunity to be healthy. If it's not moving well, and oftentimes people don't even know that it's not moving well in small ways, that decreases our ability to be healthy. It moves us away from health. So make sure that your spine and your nervous system are healthy. Now, this is specifically what we do here at Bright Futures Chiropractic. I look very deeply at a person's health through the lens of their spine and their nervous system. So uh, that's what I would say. Find a good chiropractor. If you're around me, call me up. I'm always happy to do 15-minute complimentary consultations. If you're not around, find a good chiropractor near you that has an approach that is about promoting and building health instead of just decreasing aches and pains. That's what I would say about that. Now, here's what happens when we're subluxated. We have joint misalignment. We have soft tissue damage. So I'm talking about along the spine. The joints get misaligned. That causes soft tissue damage. That causes inflammation and muscle spasms. That leads to nerve irritation. It decreases the health of the discs, which are the spacers between the vertebrae. And it leads to the joints not moving appropriately anymore. They get locked up. And all of that, and here's the most important part of it, all of that leads to the stress response, which is the same response that your body would go through when you're hiking along the trail and a mountain lion jumps out at you. Ugh, like it goes through this big thing. Oh, I got to get out of here. Oh, I got to fight this thing, whatever it is. During that scenario, your immune system function drops. Okay, in a fight or flight scenario, your immune system drops. And when our spines are subluxated, that leads to the stress response, and the stress response decreases immune system function. This is one of the reasons why very, very frequently we have people who start getting care for reasons other than immune system function, and they often come back to me and be like, I didn't get a cold all winter. I always would get 2 or 3 colds. That's because your body's less in that stress response mode and it's more able to show up and battle those things that encounter us. All right, so keep that spine healthy and moving. We need to look at movement as an essential nutrient. Just like vitamin C is an essential nutrient. We can't make vitamin C within us. We're the only mammals that can't do that, by the way. But we can't make vitamin C within us. We have to take it in from the outside. It's an essential nutrient. We have to have it in order to be healthy. Movement is the exact same thing. We have to have it in order to be as healthy as possible. That includes your immune system. All I'm saying about it at that point, it's essential. You have to have it. If you are not getting it on a daily basis, you are deficient in movement and you are less healthy than you need to be. All right. The best situation is move throughout your day more than you don't move. Right? You're active more in the day than you aren't. Again, this ring has super helped me with that. There are Fitbits, this is called an Aura ring. There are other things that can do this, but this lets me know how much I move throughout the day. And if my inactive time is more than my active time, that's my fault. That's a problem that I know have deficiency in movement for that day. If that's not like readily accessible to you tomorrow, then the next thing would be to move 10 minutes per hour. Set an alarm, set a beeper, and it doesn't have to be a ton of movement. It can be a single walk around the office or your house, wherever you happen to be right now. It can be you stand up at your desk and you do 10 squats. It can be knocking out 5 burpees. It can simply be moving your legs up and down, get the body moving, whatever it is. Move for 10 minutes an hour every hour of the day. And next best is just simply start your day with a 15-minute walk. Just get out there, walk, get your lungs going. We're talking about breathing a little bit. Get your lungs pumping, get your cardiovascular system going, get that lymph, getting all the junk and stuff out of there. It's very important that your body can have the cleanliness it needs, meaning the interior cleanliness that it needs, and movement is what allows that to happen. That's what provides that. All right, moving on. The thing that everybody talks the most about is food, right? And food is fairly simple when it comes right down to it. Human beings were designed to eat two things: vegetables or plant products and animal products. We are omnivores as human beings. Is it possible for the vegetarians and vegans out there? Is it possible to eat healthfully without doing the animal products thing? Yeah. It's just it's more difficult to do it that way because it's not how human beings were designed to do it. So I encourage the vast majority of the population to do the omnivore thing anyway. So you need to eat veggies and you need to eat well-raised animal products or wild animal products. Now, the name of the game with your vegetables is color, color, color. Why? Because color indicates vitamin A. Vitamin A is a huge beneficial modulator of your immune system function. Deficient in vitamin A equals immunocompromised. This coronavirus thing, who does it attack worst? The immunocompromised. So eating color, color, color for your veggies, that's going to get you that vitamin A, and then your smart body can take all those good beta carotenes and the other carotenoids that you're eating, and it turns them into vitamin A right when you need it, and that boosts up your immune cells that go out there and knock out anything that comes by. That's why you want to eat those vegetables. Frozen, steamed, fresh, doesn't really, just eat them. If you're not eating them, eat them. Don't worry about what's best. Is this best? No, just eat them. Eat colorful vegetables. I encourage people to eat single ingredient foods. This means that you're not doing processed foods. Now, keep in mind, I'm keeping this entire workshop towards what to do. There are going to be a few recommendations of what not to do too. And eating processed food, particularly right now while the entire world is worried about our immune system function and this coronavirus taking us over, right now is not the time for processed food. So if you just went and bought carts and carts load of processed food, don't eat it unless you have to, unless we just aren't able to get fresh food anymore. I encourage the single ingredient foods. Single ingredient foods simply mean you're eating whole foods. It's like if you get a bag that has a bunch of apples in it, the single ingredient is apples, right? Or whatever meat that you have in there. Okay, you get the idea. Single ingredient foods. And then there's supplementation. And this has been super fun to talk about because just this winter, Grassroots Health came out with research that showed that this combination of things was majorly powerful. And that is vitamin D, vitamin C, and fish oil. They came out with a study that showed any one of those taken alone decreases a person's chance of having symptoms from a cold or flu virus by 35% about. Combine those three things and do those on a regular basis, then a person's chance of having symptoms from cold and flu viruses, which coronavirus is in that group of things, decreases 72%. So get your vitamin D3. I recommend it with vitamin K as well. Vitamin D3 with K. Get your vitamin C. I encourage people, it's generally recognized as safe at this point to go 10,000 IU on the vitamin D. I think 2 to 4 grams of vitamin C a day right now is totally reasonable. And in the fish oil, get a high quality supplement from a professional that you know and trust and that they've done their work into it, because fish oil is tricky. But with the fish oil, make sure that you're getting also in that 2 to 4 grams a day range. All right, that's the supplement side. That's most important. And then if you want to add a next layer, get on the probiotics. Our guts are huge with our immune signaling, and they send out signals saying, hey, something's going on here, everybody on alert. And then the foot soldiers go out and they start looking around for things to take out, right? The probiotics put those good bacteria in our gut, and that is why they're helpful. There are other things. B vitamins, very important as well. But we won't go into a comprehensive list because I want you guys to focus down. So please be making notes on all of this. You can certainly push pause if you need to. All right, next thing, breathing. Now, this is one that very few people talk about. Like, ah, come on, I breathe. You know, is it possible that I'm breathing wrong? Well, the answer is yes. As a matter of fact, yes, it is. One thing that people don't usually know. In fact, if I were to say, hey, what organ in your body is most responsible for detoxification? Most people would say, that's right, hopefully I heard you all say liver. Right, our liver is pretty much there for detoxification. It does other things as well, but its primary job is detoxification. However, our body's primary detoxifying system is our respiratory system. Now, what does coronavirus specifically attack in immunocompromised people? The respiratory system. So let's start treating our lungs like the valuable resource they are and start breathing appropriately. Of course, on the stop doing list would include stop smoking, stop being around too much exhaust or other inhaled stuff, stop vaping, that's looking to be very bad for this particular situation, stop doing things that intentionally irritate your lungs, and then start breathing appropriately. So here are the obstacles to breathing. Believe it or not, your technology is an obstacle to breathing appropriately. In fact, there's a thing that they have that's called text apnea or email apnea. I'm just grouping it into what I call tech apnea. And it is whenever, you grab your phone and you're sitting there like, you stop breathing. And they've actually done studies on this and they've watched people and they'll stop breathing for like 10, 15 seconds while they're reading a text or an email. Start paying attention to your own habits and you'll probably notice that you do the same. I've even started noticing that I do this like when I cut a grapefruit or something. Like I'm really concentrating on cutting the grapefruit and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not breathing. So allow yourself to breathe and don't hold your breath for long periods of time. Other things that are obstacles, stress and your general habits. Again, like my grapefruit thing, that's a habit thing. Like I don't know why I started holding my breath when I was doing that. And I probably do it when I'm really concentrating on other things. So look at your habits, look at the stress in life, and when you're stressed, make sure that you are breathing through it. And then technology, really look at your technology habits. So how to breathe well. You want to take deep, slow breaths. Now, I don't mean this kind of thing. Notice what happened to my shoulders? The shoulders went up. That's not what we're looking for. We want our shoulders to stay down and we want to breathe deep into our lungs. So we're getting that breath way down into the bottom of the abdomen. I like to tell people breathe down into your pelvis. You want that air to go super deep in the lungs because you will start opening up parts of your lungs that haven't been functioning at full capacity by doing deep breaths. You also want to breathe slowly. Oftentimes we breathe shallow and rapidly during our day because we're stressed, because our body is in that stress state. When we intentionally and consciously breathe deep and slow, we take our body out of that stress response and it helps with our detoxification and it boosts up our immune system function. And lastly, the focus department. What do I mean by focus? What I mean by focus is what you're putting your attention on. Now, we want to put our attention on certain things. However, our world, if there's anything our world is set up for, it is set up to distract you and to grab your attention away from whatever it is that it was on. That is the attention economy. So, what app do you look at all the time, right? There is one, right? There is one or two. What app do you look at? See if you can spend the weekend without it, right? Because that thing is grabbing your attention. It's an unfortunate battle that we're in where there are hundreds, thousands of really smart technological engineers that are back there working on their apps and their device, things to grab our attention and to put our attention where they want our attention. Now, is that what you want? Or do you want to be in control of your attention? So here's what we think about with our focus. Are we focusing on positive or are we focusing on negative? Right? Are we in the empowered dynamic or the disempowered dynamic? Are we saying, I've got this? Or are we saying, oh, poor me? Now, think about that with the messages we've been hearing about coronavirus. Please think about that with the messages that we've been hearing about coronavirus. Are we having an empowered message like, you guys got this? We're human beings. We can handle this if we set ourselves up right for health. Or are we hearing like, oh, you guys, everybody has to just stay away from this thing. We have no immunity to this. We are just going to be victims to this thing until it blows over. And then hopefully we can get back to regular life. Now, again, all the defensive measures, I am for them. I have no problem with that. However, I don't agree at all with the poor me, the disempowered approach that lots of times we're being fed right now. We need to shift this over into the I've got this. If coronavirus shows up at my doorstep, my body is healthy enough to kick it out. That's the state we want to be in. That's an empowered focus versus a disempowered focus. That's thinking in the positive instead of the negative. Now, obstacles to healthy focus, I have to start with the news, right? I don't watch the news. I've been on a 3-year news fast right now until a couple of days ago when I turned on Iowa Public Radio again as I'm driving to and from work, which fortunately is a 3-minute drive each direction. And then I've turned it back off because while they were doing a pretty good job of reporting, none of it was positive. None of it was like, oh, hey, here's what we can do. It was all like, oh, here are the numbers in California, and here are the numbers in South Korea now, and here, like the news, grabs our attention, right? It puts all sorts of flashy things on the screen, and then it says, here's all the bad stuff happening in the world. It's negative, right? If you want to control your own focus, get rid of the news. That is an obstacle to healthy focus. Social media. Again, I do very little social media, and here I am presenting on social media, but I do very little social media because I don't see a whole lot of positivity. I ask myself about social media, is this going to make me healthier? Or is this going to make me happier? Or is this going to improve what I'm focusing on? And the answer is no, no, no. Nope, nope, nope. So I just don't really do it. If somebody sends me a message, I respond to it, but I don't go out there and flip around on it. I encourage you to evaluate your own social media use. And then the other obstacle is talking with people who are talking about the news and social media. Like, oh, did you see this thing on such and such? Did you see this thing on the news? Did you see it? Like, if that's not directly pertinent to you at that point, it's not helping you. So regain your focus. And I would encourage people to say, hey, my focus right now needs to be on my health and my family's health. My health, my family's health, so that when this thing shows up, like the CDC says it's going to, I'm ready to fight it. Your job is to manage your attention, like I've been talking about. You need to ask yourself, what matters most to me? Because honestly, I'm all for knowing what's going on in the world, but Is the situation in Italy like the most important thing to you and your family? Maybe, I guess, if your family's over there. But otherwise, I would encourage you to really evaluate that. And I'm guessing the answer might be no, it's not. And then ask the question, is this helping? Whatever I'm doing right now, is this helping? Whatever I am focusing, what my attention is on, is this helping? And my guess is going to be that lots of times you'll be surprised and be like, oh, this isn't actually helping. It's actually the opposite of what I want. So that's how we regain our attention. We can manage our own attention. Now, to wrap this up, if we combine our focus with our breathing, then we get a process called coherence breathing by the great people at HeartMath. Coherence breathing is just an awesome exercise that I take people through in certain workshops that I do. And I won't detail it all the way today. We will go through around here. Uh, but please search up coherence breathing HeartMath and go through their process, and they list it out there. Now, what it is you're gonna clear a breath first of all. Right? Keep those shoulders down, breathe deep, fill up the whole lungs, get that out. Now, you're going to focus your breathing through your heart. Like imagine your heart, which is held in a space in your chest. You're going to imagine your breath going through that heart area. Now, there are other things that you can do with visualization with this. I like to imagine that breath going in. As it's in there, the negativity in my body going into the breath that I just took in, and then as I exhale, it takes it out. Okay, so you're going to breathe through the heart center, is what they call that there. And then the real key, and here's the thing with focus, is you are then going to focus strongly on something that you love. Whether that's a person, whether that's a place, whether it's a pet, whatever it is, I cycle between several different things. There's a particular cabin out west that I just love to sit on the porch. It's like the best place in the world to me, and I will go there as I do my coherence breathing. So you're going to breathe in, you're going to hold it, and you're going to breathe out. And you're going to create a nice rhythm to that. You're going to ultimately breathe without the hold, nice and rhythmic. And you're going to keep the focus on the breath coming through the heart center and then out while you focus on that thing that you love. That's coherence breathing. For more on that, please search HeartMath up and coherence breathing. They do great things over there. All right, those are our 5 strategies. And if we then, that was too early. Well, let's go for it. All right, because I want to tell you a story about this young lady and this cute little puppy, right? So this is Layla. And Layla came to me now 3 years ago with a lot of challenges. In fact, Layla was born with a lot of challenges. One of the things she came to me because she was having headaches, she was having back pain, things that people think about with the chiropractor pretty regularly. However, what's pertinent to this discussion is that within 3 or 4 months, her mom started saying like, hey, she hasn't been getting sick. And this was a big deal because Layla had asthma, Layla had recurrent pneumonia. Now, when we're talking about our current situation, coronavirus, having asthma is a big deal. Having pneumonia, a very big deal. Like respiratory problems seem to be where this virus really thrives. And Layla was having both of those things. Now, 3 years later, not factors for her. They're not factors for her. What did we do? We got her spine moving well. We got her nervous system working well, which we measure in different ways. And we simply improved her overall health with some other lifestyle recommendations that she's been diligent following. Well, now Layla is preparing to be done with high school. And in order to do that, she has some special challenges she needs to overcome. For instance, Layla was born without ears. She was born without external ears. So by the technology geniuses that are out there, she has these hearing aids that allow her to hear pretty darn well. In fact, I'm super impressed with how well she hears and speaks and communicates, and she's bright and she's involved in all sorts of clubs at school, and she's an amazing young girl. However, when she takes her hearing aids out, she can't hear. And that's a problem when you're bathing, that's a problem when you're sleeping. She can't wear them during those times. So, in order for her to be independent, she needs this beautiful dog, which is being trained currently to be her hearing dog. And she's in an effort to raise money for that. So, if you found value in this presentation, here's what we're doing in April. And April for us starts next Monday. Okay, it doesn't matter the date. We're starting it next Monday. Anybody who has a new patient appointment in April at our office, which by the way, we do a very large initial visit where we do a consultation, we do the spinal examination, we do digital x-rays, we use 3 pieces of technology to measure how the nervous system is functioning, and then I put a report together on all of that where we go over it. All of that is $265. We keep it reasonable for people. However, in April, we're doing it for just 67. And $50 of each person's visit is going directly toward Layla and the training of this dog so that she can have that independence that she needs to head off to college after high school. We're super excited about that. If you're inspired by that, if you found value in this video and you're inspired to get your nervous system checked so that your immune system is working as well as it can, so that you can show up to the battle with the gloves on, ready to knock this thing out, I'm here for you, and I want to make sure that we can be part of your solution and Layla's solution. I'm excited about what's going to happen in April. That's our 5 strategies. I noticed that my Facebook has been hanging up from what I've seen. If that has been the case, sorry about that. But otherwise, we will also post this on YouTube. It's going to be a good collection of this, a good capture of it. We're going to post it on YouTube. And if you are interested in scheduling that consultation, simply text 319-656-2888 with the words schedule and then your name. And we will get back to you as soon as we absolutely can with that. That text message will come to my office. A live person will get back in touch with you and we'll be ready to schedule you, get that first visit in so that your body can be as robustly healthy as possible. Thanks for tuning in. Look at that. We've kept it to maybe 50 minutes, but I was hoping for 45. I'm excited, though, about what we can do as a culture when we all get super healthy and we kick coronavirus out so we can get back to our normal lives and so we all can, at the end of this, be stronger because of this obstacle. That'll happen. All right, I'm Dr. Chris Greer, Bright Futures Chiropractic. Get outside, breathe in that deep air, get your body moving, and enjoy the day.